Hey there, you beautiful bipeds. BOW-WOWSER, the game-loving Bassett here, and I've been waiting for this one. As someone that grew up with the OG Link's Awakening, I've been patiently waiting like a good boy since the announcement. Well, I've played it, beat it, and now I'm ready to share my little dog thoughts with you on The Legend of Zelda Link's Awakening for the Nintendo Switch. Let's get into it.
Alright, I got this.
Come on, come on, come on.
Yes! Oh no! Come on.
I'll be honest, this last week has been a textbook nostalgia trip for me. Link's Awakening for the Switch feels less like a remake and more like an epic remastering. True, it's been recreated from scratch, but it's a faithful one-to-one recreation using modern animation, controls, and lighting techniques. But that's a good thing. Growing up, this was one of my favorite games. Not only was it a full-scale Zelda game that you could play on the go, but it had a bizarre and compelling story. Not to mention, it was mixed with nods to other Nintendo franchises. I mean, who doesn't love that? Stomping on Goombas with Link? Yeah, sign me up. Even the name of the island is satisfying to say. Koholint. I don't know, maybe I'm not even saying it right. Satisfying nonetheless. It really was a crowning achievement for portable gaming, so to see it get remade for Nintendo's latest portable console really got my tail thumping. So how does it hold up nearly 3 decades later? Surprisingly great. The fact that this is essentially the same exact game as the 1993 original with the exception of a few quality of life changes and it's still just as enjoyable kind of blows my mind to realize just how revolutionary that game was for its time. But let's talk about what's new, and I'm going to start with that art style. I have had such a hot and cold relationship with this art style. The E3 announcement with that anime opening cutscene had me hyped. Then they showed the gameplay and I was like, ugh. I was not into it at all. It kind of reminds me of that Rudolph Christmas claymation TV special. But the more I stared at it, the more I came around. Then the more I thought about it, it started to make perfect sense, given that the whole theme of the game is built around a dream. But then it sort of changed for me depending on the day. Some days I couldn't wait to get my paws on it, and others I just thought, I don't know, man, not feeling it. I ultimately decided I was okay with it and really just wanted to play the game. But then you play it and I don't know, I feel like you won't truly appreciate it until you see it in person and you're playing it, because as soon as I started the game up, gave my little dude a name, and started my journey, I thought, this game looks so good. I don't know, it's weird, but if you're on the fence about it like I was, just give it a go. I still don't really like the look of the side-scrolling sections, though. It kind of feels clunky or something, I don't know, maybe it's just me. Of course, there's one scene in the game that makes it all worth it. That's funny. The next big and obvious change is the overworld. It's no longer a grid like the original. Now it's kind of like one big seamless playground. This is cool. I was originally concerned that it would make the game feel too different from the original, but surprisingly it doesn't. And overall, it really just helps immerse you into the world. I also like how they stuck with the square grid layout for the dungeons because it adds to that puzzle element. And then of course there's the little quality of life changes such as your sword, shield, and Pegasus boots being permanently mapped to certain buttons so that they're always available. Having to swap these tools in the original brought the game to an absolute crawl, so this is a massive upgrade. It would have been nice if they also would have figured out a way to map the Rock's Feather to a certain button as well, since you'll pretty much always have that equipped. But that's a minor gripe. The map has also seen a major overhaul, and now it lets you set markers, which is great for reminding yourself where all the little secrets are that you can't get at the moment. And one interesting additional little feature that no one really seems to be talking about is the little highlights they've added to the area you're supposed to go next. This is an old school Zelda, which means at times it can be unreasonably cryptic. There are little phone booth huts to help you, but sometimes those aren't really super clear either, so this is a nice little touch. It's also subtle and easy to overlook, and I like that, because it's not so super in your face if you're just trying to run around and explore. And I guess I should also mention the newly added Dungeon Maker thing in Dampé's Shack. I don't know, I was never really sold on this, and I was equally unimpressed when I tried it. I like the potential it has for a true future Zelda Maker, but in its current state, it's just not super great. You can't even upload it online for your friends, so it kind of feels pointless, like you're sort of just making for yourself. Anyway, it's just not for me. I don't know, maybe I was just a little turned off at how this creepy dude kept trying to get me to go to his shack. Stranger danger! Stranger danger! But let's talk about the newly arranged music. It's so good! I particularly love what they did with Maeve Village, Animal Village, and the Fae Shrine. The Maeve Village arrangements truly made me want to live there. The music in Animal Village is awesome because, well, I mean, them's my people. I don't know, it's just nice to be represented. And the Face Shrine has this angelic sound that's just so peaceful. The game's difficulty definitely leaves something to be desired. It's not an overstatement to call this game super easy. It doesn't provide much of a challenge, but it's just so charming and enjoyable to play through. Combine that with the music and it's a nice therapeutic experience all around. Honestly, the most challenging thing for me in this game was trying to decide between the red tunic and the blue tunic at the end of the color dungeon because I am just terrible when it comes to decision making and have massive FOMO issues. Why'd you have to ask me twice? But what if you've never played the original? Should you pick it up? Well, it depends. If you like the classic top-down Zelda games, then yes, it's a fantastic game. If you don't, I don't think this is going to make you a believer. And if you're not sure because you never played any classic top-down Zelda games and you have a Nintendo Online account, then hop on the SNES app and try out A Link to the Past first. If you enjoy it, then you'll definitely like this one. But that said, I think this game is first and foremost a nostalgia blast. I think the ones that will enjoy it the most are the ones that grew up with it, but ultimately it's a fantastic game and one of my favorite Zeldas. There is one glaring issue here though. That frame rate. I am so disappointed in the performance of this game. Given the art style and simplistic nature of this game, it really feels like it shouldn't be struggling. I usually don't even let this stuff get to me, but this is just riddled throughout the entire game. I know everyone mentions it, but I'm really surprised at how brushed off this feels. I mean, this really does ruin the immersion quite a bit. It's very jarring. I thought that maybe over time I would adapt to it, but it's just too hard to overlook. Even the title sequence skips a bit. I'm actually shocked that Nintendo would release a first-party title in this state, especially a Zelda game. Honestly, I'm surprised they didn't just make the whole game 30 FPS if they couldn't get 60 to work. I mean, it's a single-player game, it's not like it had to be 60. It's just such a disappointment because it's a massive blemish on an otherwise fantastic game. It's like when you're eating a delicious pie but you find a hair in it early on. You still enjoy it, but it's just not the same as it was on that first bite. I hear a lot of debate about whether or not this is worth $60, and it would just be so much easier to recommend it if it wasn't for the performance issues, because I do find them quite game-breaking at times. Hopefully they can fix this with an update, but we'll see. All that aside, Link's Awakening is still an overall amazing game that carries over all the original charm and weirdness from the original and brings it into the modern era. So I'm giving it 3 paws and a wag of the tail. Oh, and I totally regret picking the blue tunic, by the way. This is why I hate decision making. Well, there you have it. Let me know in the comments if you plan on picking it up, and if you played the original, let me know how you feel it stacks up. Thanks so much for stopping by, and I'll smell you later.